Hi everyone, this is Lowell again. We're talking about music theory, and we're discussing what melody is. And for this final segment of a discussion of melody, I wanted to talk about something I had already shared with the subject of rhythm, and that is an analogy of prose, or of writing books, and how that metaphorically ties into writing music, or understanding music theory and melody per se, particularly. And so you have phrasing. For example, you have words, and then you have a sentence, and then you have a paragraph, and then you have a chapter, and then you have a book, and then you have an anthology. And so in terms of structure with melody, you can have little fragments of melody that can be extrapolated into larger phrases, which could be, metaphorically like a sentence, or several sentences in a row, that actually are meant to convey a cohesive idea, as a unit. And then, that would be a paragraph. And then the next cohesive unit would be another paragraph, and you have several paragraphs together. And so music structure is very similar to that. And I have an example of this. This is a Mozart rondo. It's very famous, and I'm not going to play the whole thing, and I'm not going to go into an in-depth analysis of it, but just so that you can hear the logical, uh, 4-bar and 8-bar phrasing that's very very well organized, and you can hear the thoughts that are laid out. And so da 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 da, that's your first basically word that everything else is built on. So notice how he motivically develops that. Da 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 da, da 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 da, da 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 da. That's your first statement, and then an answer to that statement. That's kind of like the answer to the question. And then you have another section, and then he motivically develops that. And then you go back to the original material, that, and so it becomes an ABA form, and that's your first section. And then you have another section that it's called a rondo form, which essentially it goes back, and he doesn't exactly do this, but it goes essentially, a rondo form is A, B, A, C, A, D, A, E. It keeps coming back to A, and so that's what a rondo form is. Other forms, which can be expressed, with melody, which is what we're talking about, is a very, very famous form. It's called sonata allegro form. And so sonata allegro form starts out with a block of, basically, I'm going to call it a paragraph or several paragraphs, of one section called the statement, or the thematic statement. And then you have the next section, which is the development section, in which you take that that opening material, and you motivically, intentionally develop it and take it in all sorts of different extrapolations all over the map. And then you come back to the first material in a recapitulation. And so it goes, really, it's an ABA form, but this intersection is meant to be set for developing the original ideas. So here's just a little bit of a illustration, and most of you have probably heard this. So he repeats that same phrase. Here comes the alternate. Then you come come back to the same material, a little bit different ending. So that's your first. So that's your first paragraph, and then he goes into another contrasting idea, but then he comes back to the original material. And so it's really it's logical, and it's presenting thoughts from a patterning. A patterning type of way. Our brains pick up on patterns and symmetry, and that's how we perceive in life. What is loud is compared to what is soft, and what is high pitched is compared to something that is low pitched. What is something bright compared to something that is dark. And so a lot of what we're talking about has to do with context. And so music plays with all these different ideas that gives meaning, but particularly in the subject of context, which we'll cover that later, the value of context. But basically, just to finalize here my thoughts about melody. Melody, really, rhythm and melody and harmony go together, but it's very easy to see how melody shapes form and structure in composition.